Welcome back to the Week 12 college football betting locks and predictions, and let's get right into it with a recap of last week. Successful Week 1, 2 units on the plays last week, and let's start with the weekday game we had in Maction. Northern Illinois won us one in the hook against Western Michigan, and they take care of that one there. Then we had the early games, Miami against Georgia Tech, and Miami's been playing with fire for a while here. Thought they would be able to beat Georgia Tech, but thought it could have been a spot where Georgia Tech could give them a game. Georgia Tech ends up winning with a points total in the mid-20s, which is surprising. You would have thought they would have needed a little bit more to win that game. Miami falls. We'll see if they can bounce back or whether they will continue to let this loss haunt them. Probably should have lost the Cal game. Could have lost the Virginia Tech game, if not for the ACC stepping in and making some calls for them, but they were unable to get away with it in this one. And then Florida against Texas, and man, Florida just didn't have it this week, but Billy Napier retains his job, so that's probably better for the stability of the program long term. They just don't have a quarterback right now. Texas rolls in that one. Then Georgia against Ole Miss, a lock. Ole Miss +3 that we got there, and they end up coming back and beating Georgia there. Very good Ole Miss team, and they're just rounding into shape here. If they can stay at 2 losses with the win over Georgia, they can certainly make the college football playoff. And there, with the talent composition they have, this will be a dangerous Ole Miss team looking to make a run. Michigan, Indiana. Michigan almost comes back in this one, but India wins by a nice 5 points there, 20-15. Michigan's just kind of gone off the rails, as we've known for a while now. Iowa State actually loses to Kansas. We did add a late betting lock to this one, so fall short there. Kansas looking better right now. Too bad they got off to such a heinous start, but Iowa State really falling off the wagon now. 2 losses in a row in Big 12 play after that 7-0 start. Second page, we had Clemson at Vautech, and pretty disgusting game here. Clemson puts up 24, so ameliorates some of those offensive woes there, and Virginia Tech just despicable. Thought this was going to be a better season for them, but they've kind of just fallen off the wagon as well. Texas Tech had a lead in this game, but Colorado comes roaring back and wins the game by a bit. Some controversial officiating in this one, but Colorado just seemed like the better team. The tortillas, the home field advantage was not enough for Texas Tech to get it done there. It's Colorado at 7-2, now the odds-on favorite to win the Big 12. They will probably end up playing a BYU team we'll talk about a little bit later. Mississippi State keeps it close enough against Tennessee. Mississippi State, they're not winning these games, but man, they are a covering machine right now, and I think that they have next season to look forward to. They just need to start building up the talent on this roster, and of course, they've got the Egg Bowl, maybe a season could ruin Ole Miss's season. I doubt it, but they have some big games to look forward to down the stretch here. And then South Carolina against Vandy. I thought Vandy would win here. South Carolina ends up winning at 28-7. South Carolina is certainly one of the teams playing their best ball right now, and they will return home to face a fraudulent Missouri team that barely wins against Oklahoma in a great game. If you guys didn't see one, I encourage you to watch the highlights of the last, quarter of that one because it was very good. But Vandy cannot get it done against South Carolina. Then Alabama at LSU. Thought that LSU would cover the +3, maybe even win the game outright. Showed value on it, but man, Nuss and the boys, not enough here, and it was just atrocious. Jalen Milroe and Russian quarterbacks as a whole just are not going to be stopped by the LSU defense in any way, shape, or form. Bama runs away with it. LSU was emptying out in the fourth quarter. Just a disgusting scenario for Brian Kelly and the team there. Didn't execute on their plans, and Alabama rolls to a much-needed victory. Remember, that's only LSU's second SEC loss, so technically not out of it for the SEC championship game scenario. For those of you interested, Washington at Penn State. Penn State rolls like I thought they would on the whiteout game night. We did not take the lock in this one, probably should have, and same for this next game where we thought Utah would win outright, but should have taken the lock either way. Very controversial holding call. If you didn't see the Utah AD's interview after the game, man, that was he really dug into the officials there, but BYU just getting lucky here again and again and again and again. 9-0 BYU, now the second odds-on favor for the Big 12 outright, but they are certainly heavily favored to make the championship there. They play at home this week in a game we will cover in just a bit, but let's move on to the betting locks for this week, and I'll give you guys another weekday action game. We've got a Wednesday night bout, Ohio against Eastern Michigan. Take Ohio and lay the points there, -8 in the hook. And it's a pure numbers play. Not going to talk about that one too much. Then we've got LSU at Florida. Again, Florida kind of dead the rights here, but this spread is only 4 in the hook, so Vegas thinks that Florida can keep it interesting, especially at the Swamp. I don't know how the crowd is going to be for this one, to be completely honest. Florida, just has lost 2 games away from home in Jacksonville and then at Tennessee. Things are kind of falling apart. Don't have a quarterback really, but maybe there will be some fans for this one. I don't see it. I like LSU to bounce back and win that game. Then we have another betting lock. Mizzou at South Carolina. As I mentioned, Mizzou got lucky last week. South Carolina rounding into form. These Gamecock fans are some of the best in the sport. I think the Gamecocks roll and cover at the -13. And we'll see what the College Football Playoff Committee has in store in terms of ranking for this South Carolina team. But Missouri almost certainly will still be ranked because they were ranked last week. I don't think they should be ranked at all. I will lay the points here. I like South Carolina to win by 2, if not more possessions there. And then Texas at Arkansas. And if we look back at Texas's resume, it really doesn't look great. They don't have a ranked win. That Michigan game is not a ranked win. Oklahoma game, not a ranked win anymore. Got drilled by Georgia at home. Did get the win against Florida, but Florida's horrible. So we start to look at this Texas resume, and it really kind of collapses. They need a ranked win. They're not going to get one here either way. I think Arkansas covers this 16.5 number. Remember the last time we saw Arkansas, it was them getting skull drug by Ole Miss, but now we know that Ole Miss is a pretty good team. I think Arkansas can bounce back here. They've had time to prepare here. If Pittman can't keep this one close, his job could be on the line here. I like Arkansas to keep it close. We'll see what the fans do, but you're playing a top 5 opponent. They already beat Tennessee this season. I like them to keep it close, if not win the game outright in a shocker. If we do have one of those surprising Saturdays there, then Clemson at Pitt, and a couple 7-2 teams here. Pitt coming off the loss against SMU. I'm going to back Clemson anyways, and of course Clemson lost to Louisville, but I like them to win this game, get the offense right, and beat a Pittsburgh team that I think is a little overrated here. Still has some room to drop. Utah at Colorado, Rocky Mountain Showdown, 10 a.m. local here, and that is horrendous for the home fans, to be honest, in the environment there. But Dion will collect a little bit more of that check for Fox, I suppose. I don't even know what the logic is with this timing, but anyways, yeah, I guess the national eye will be on the Big 12 here. I like Colorado to win it. Utah got the game quote unquote stolen away last week, but they probably should have just won it on the field. I don't see them bouncing back in any way, shape, or form. I like Colorado to win that game. Second page, we've got Oregon at Wisconsin. I like Oregon to win, but no one's talking about how Oregon wins this game. If they do, they move to 11-0 bye week, then their final game of the season against Washington, so not very far to travel. Then they get to go to Indy, in all likelihood, for the Big Ten championship. So that late season bye week, I know all the SEC teams have FCS opponents, but Big Ten teams don't really do that. I'm assuming they'll play Ohio State, but we'll see. Ohio State does play Indiana next week, so we'll really see with that one. But Oregon, that bye week might come in handy for them. Not that they can really overlook Washington, or that they should be. Our final lock of the week is Georgia -9 in the hook against Tennessee. I think Tennessee has been fortunate with the games they've had at home. Let's just say that. That game at Oklahoma was looking, a little bit intimidating. They didn't play well at Arkansas, but that Florida game, they went to overtime, but that was at home, so they win. They get the benefit of that. Bama, good win at home. And then you also had a Mississippi State team play them pretty well at home. So overall, I think it's a Tennessee team that doesn't play well on the road, or as well on the road as they do at home. That's the case with most teams. Georgia coming off the bounce back. Tennessee has some room to fall here. I like Georgia to win this football game. We'll see where this ranking of this game falls down to this week, but should be a good one for a while. I expect Georgia to want to run away with it, though. Night game at Samford. Don't see many of those. Then Kansas at BYU. Spread on this one's within a field goal for good reason. BYU is not very good. They just keep winning somehow. They are, and don't get me wrong, people are comparing them to TCU and Washington, but they are far worse than either of those teams. The amount of luck it's crazy, honestly, with the turnovers, but they've started to rely less on the turnovers. Now they're just good enough to have a chance to get lucky every game, and they continue to do so. It doesn't help that the refs are probably on their side as well. I like BYU to win here because they're at home. We'll see what Kansas can muster here. Not that if it was at Kansas, it would be much anyways, because it would be in an assortment of venues that aren't actually in Lawrence. Boise State at San Jose State. Dearth of good games this week, so let's highlight on some Group of 5 action, and we do have another Big 12 matchup. But Boise State at 6-3, San Jose State. I like Janty, Madsen, and the boys to get it done here. Remember, Boise at 12. People aren't really talking about this. We'll see where they are this week, of course. The AP did drop them a spot, but Boise wins out. It's probable that they're backstopped by that Wazoo win as a ranked win, and then obviously the team that played closest to Oregon overall, besides, Ohio State. So definitely deserving of being up here. Anything in the top 10 is probably a bit aggressive, but if Boise State's 11, then the 6th seed gets to play them. Or even worse, if they're above Colorado somehow, they do have the win over UNLV, probably can get another one. UNLV's beat a couple of those Big 12 teams. So you start to think about if Boise State can be ranked above a Colorado team, assuming that BYU doesn't win the Big 12, then Boise gets to the top 4. Man, that would shake some things up, but I like Boise to win. Keep it week by week here. I like Boise to win against San Jose State there. Then Arizona State at K-State. I like K-State to win that one. Arizona State, good record. Very impressive turnaround for this Sun Devil program. All props to them. I just think Kansas State is the much better team here, and I think they will win smoothly. I'm not sure if Scatabo will be back, but I don't think it really matters. I like Kansas State to win this game either way. Then Tulane, Navy, 8-2 versus 7-2. Navy's falling off. Tulane just rounding into shape here. Too bad Tulane couldn't beat Kansas State earlier this season or their game at Oklahoma, or else they could have been one of the top teams in the nation in terms of group of 5 play. I mean, they already are, but they could have really been in contention for the playoff there, but instead they're lurking just beyond the shore. I like Tulane to win against Navy at Navy there. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe and comment your predictions below.